Hello everyone and welcome to my Magicka Dragonknight PvP build for the Stonethorn patch. I take no credit for this build. Huge thanks to Jordan for helping me put this together and giving me a lot of detail on it. And shout out to all the people that have been using it. This is a well-known build, a lot of people use it. I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail and explain to you what it's all about. Let's get started. So this is a brief overview. I'm going to leave a link to this superstar in the description in case you don't want to watch the whole video. But let's jump right into the character sheet. So we choose to go with Breton for our race. The reason why I chose Breton is because Dragonknight sustain this patch is really difficult. Breton reduced cost really helps with that, as well as making them resistant to spell damage. That adds a lot of tankability and tankiness, and without taking away too much of our damage. Another really nice option is Dark Elf, High Elf, or Nord. I do prefer Breton for sure on this build myself. All of our points are into max Magicka. Our gear is going to give us a ton of health. As you can see, we're sitting at 23k out of Cyrodiil on our front bar and at 25k out of Cyrodiil on our back bar. So this would give us a ton of health, over 32k on the front bar and 35k on the back bar in Cyrodiil without the Emperor bonus. As you can see, we are wearing heavy armor, so our crit is very low, but we are going to be using malacath, so it doesn't really matter. All of our points are into max Magicka. We're using the Atro Mundus. The other Mundus that you can definitely use is the Mage. In fact, I'm going to switch to the Mage right now because having a higher Magicka pool not only helps our sustain, but it also helps our damage, and it helps our healing a ton on the Magicka Dragonknight. And because of the low Magicka recovery already, we don't really need the Magicka recovery bonus. Our Magicka recovery is very low, so reduced cost works much better. We're choosing to go with the Mage Mundus Stone. We're going to be using the Bewitched Sugar Skulls food, and the reason why we use that is because we're going to be blocking quite a bit. So you need the max health, the max mag, and the max stamp to sustain blocking and sustain your damage and your health as well. Our main potion is going to be the Tri-Staff Potion. You want to keep all your resources up. We're going to also be using the Stealth Tech Pot for the Sneaky Night Blades, Essence of Immovability, and for our poisons, you can pretty much use any poison you want. I choose to go with the Immobilization Poisons, which immobilize your enemy for 3.5 seconds, making them have to roll dodge or stand still for that amount of time, and also making them a lot slower. We're going to run this on our back bar. Going into our champion points, the champion points look like this. For the green tree, 56 Warlord, 9 Sprinter, 4 Siphoner, 26 Arcanist, 27 Tenacity, 35 Befouled, 51 Tumbling, 61 Shadow Ward. In the blue tree, 43 Blessed, 11 Elfborn. This is just for the crit healing. Again, we are wearing malacath, so we're not going to do any critical damage. 64 Elemental Expert, 40 Spell Erosion, 72 Master at Arms, and 40 Thaumaturge for our dots. In the red tree, 61 Ironclad, 40 Resistant, 48 Thickskin, 49 Hardy and Elemental Defender, and 23 points into Quick Recovery. Let's jump into our gear. So as you saw earlier, our gear looks like so. We're going to be using the 2-piece Grothar. Now we're running heavy armor, therefore you want to have a heavy helm, medium shoulder for the most resistances you possibly can get. However, you can easily go with medium and heavy, so vice versa. It depends on what you have, but helm does give you a little bit more armor than shoulder, so I do recommend a heavy helmet. For our 5-piece on the front bar, we're running Overwhelming Surge. Now, this Inferno Staff can be charged, and I do recommend going with charge for more signal target damage. However, I am playing a little bit more outnumbered playstyle usually, so Sharpen does the trick for me a little bit better. Disease damage glyph so that your opponents cannot heal, and we do have a lot of points in Defoul, so therefore the healing on our opponents is going to be really rough. We're also running Overwhelming on our necklace and our ring, and notice how we have infused reduced Magicka cost on both. Again, the sustain on Mag Decay is rough, so you do need these two. And then after staff and 2 jewelry pieces, we are also running Overwhelming Gloves. Now, the other one piece is obviously Malacath's Band of Brutality, because we're running 2 proc sets. So proc set on the front bar, proc set on the back bar, Malacath really works well, as well as the proc set on our monster set. Now for the back bar set, we're going to be using the Resilient Yokita set, otherwise known as Defending Warrior. Now the way that the set works is when you block an attack, you deal a ton of magic damage to all the enemies within 10 meters of you, as well as healing for all of the damage that you do. So if you have 4 or 5 enemies just on you, hitting you the whole time, every 5 seconds you're going to get a huge burst of healing. So sometimes while you're blocking, you don't even need to heal yourself. The way we're running this set is we have the one-hander, powered, and shield sturdy on the back bar. Notice how we have the max maglyph for the healing. Then we're running 1, 2, and 3 on the body. And then lastly, the last piece of our gear is going to be the trainee piece. Now the reason why we use trainee instead of a 4 piece on the back bar is because trainee actually gives you more max health on both bars this way, instead of having the 4 piece of Resilient Yokita on the back bar, because the bonus is a little bit higher in trainee. It's 1454 max health instead of 1206 max health. However, you can just run Resilient Yokita on both bars and it'll be just fine. Now notice how the traits on the body are as follows. We have 4 pieces of impen, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have 2 pieces sturdy and 1 and 2. And we have 1 piece of reinforced. Now you can change this to sturdy as well if you feel like you need a little bit more block cost reduction. However, reinforced does give you a little bit more armor and tankiness when you're not blocking. So again, I did 5 impen, 3 sturdy on 1, 2, and 3, and 1 reinforced. But it's really up to you. There's no major difference there. Last but not least, let's go over the skills. So on the front bar, now you can change these out a little bit based on your preference, and there are quite a few flex spots that you can play around with. The front bar usually for me is going to stay the same. It's Flame Lash. You can use the other morph if you want a little bit more damage. However, this does give you quite a bit of healing, so I do recommend using Flame Lash. Burning Embers, this is one of our main dots and a huge heal if you use it correctly. Fossilize, our main CC, it also immobilizes enemies after they CC break. This is Through Block. This is one of the best, if not the best CC in the game. Degeneration, the main reason why we use this is for the major sorcery, increasing your spell damage by 20%. Keep this up at all times. Ellie Drain, this is a must-have to debuff your opponent, as well as give you a ton of resources back. And our burst ultimate is Ferocious Sleep. Now you can also use Shifting Standard here or Meteor if you choose to. I do recommend using Ferocious Sleep, however, because when you see an enemy low and you want to burst and finish the fight, this is what we're going to use. On the back bar now, there are a few flex spots here. First, Engulfing Flames is definitely a flex spot for us. You can also go with things like Draw Essence for AoE, Burning Talents for AoE, and immobilizing your opponents. Or if you want a little bit more single target, I do like Engulfing Flames a lot. Cauterize, now usually you don't need too much healing. I do like the healing from Cauterize. You can use the other morph if you really want to, or you can simply take this off and put Burning Talons or Draw Essence in this spot as well. Coagulating Blood is one of our main heals. This is a must-have. This is a nice burst heal while you're blocking especially. Volatile Armor, this is a small dot. It does do a little bit of damage to your opponents, and it also does return a little bit of Magicka, and it also of course gives you physical and spell resistance for 20 seconds. This you must keep up at all times. Race Against Time, now you can also be a vamp for this build, and you can use Mist Form. You can also, if you don't need the speed, you can use Protective Scale. You would use this morph for Wings, which gains immunity to snares and immobilizations. If you want, I do choose to go with the Race Against Time because I really like the speed buff, and it does give us crit for the healing as well. So I do recommend going with Race Against Time. However, if you like Mist Form a little bit more, I would use that as well. Last but not least, Spellwall. Now, you can use 2 defensive ultimates here. I find Spellwall really nice with the Resilient Yokita build because this is free blocking and free healing and free damage for you while you're on your back bar. You can also go with Temporal Guard, and if you don't feel like you need a defensive ultimate, you can definitely go with Shifting Standard as well as your backup ultimate here. Now, the way that we play the Magicka Dragonknight is by, first off, keeping all of our buffs up. So these two must stay up at all times for me. Second, when you're about to go offensive, you're always going to start with Ellie Drain and Degeneration. Once you have these two up, you're going to try to get close to your opponent with Engulfing Flames. Then you're going to CC with Fossilize, put on Burning Embers, and a Whip, so you can't whip no more. Now when you see your opponent, after you CC them, you put all your dots on the opponent. You have all your dots up, you have all the debuffs up, you Fossilize, and when you see him getting low, you leap and you finish the fight. Whenever you're kiting and you're playing defensive, you need to make sure that your Volatile Armor and Cauterize are up. Keep this up at all times as well, because it does give you passive healing as well. And then you're going to be keeping up your speed buff. Even while you're blocking, you're going to be moving a little bit faster. When you don't have to block, when your health is full, you're going to sprint away, kite, get into the correct position while you're getting overwhelmed, you go back to blocking, and so on and so forth. Just make sure you're keeping your heals up, make sure you're keeping your debuffs up, and try to have Ellie Drain and Degeneration on your opponent at all times, so your Magicka and your spell damage and your Magicka is going up at all times. That's pretty much it for the Dragonknight. This build is very fun, and it is a double proc set build. I don't really like proc sets, but unfortunately this is definitely the best way to play a Magicka Dragonknight. The last thing I'm going to tell you is Brazilian Yokita set is pretty tough to farm. You have to do trials for it. In case you don't want to do trials, there are two other sets that you can definitely go with. One of them being Leeching, which is a dungeon set. And then the second, after Leeching plate, would be Crimson, which you can farm from the new dungeon as well, Castle Thorn. So if you don't want to farm trials, you can just simply farm dungeons on normal, and the difference will be minor. However, I do recommend you farm the set. It's very, very, very powerful. And it looks absolutely beautiful when you swap your bars. Look at that white glow. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this helped you out and gave you a nice playstyle with a Magicka. Magicka is very, very strong with this build. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you as always for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.